All right. So, hello everyone. Again, we are starting with the Leah Goldenberg interview. Leah, if you want to give a brief description on what it is exactly that you do, your group, everything like that, before we get started on the interview itself, that'd be great.
Sure. Yeah, I am president of Simmons Hillel, and I am also president of the Simmons Sirens, the a cappella group on campus. Is that what you wanted? Did you want more than
Yeah.
that?
No. That's perfect.
Okay. Okay, sweet.
Okay. So, the first question that we have, we're gonna jump right into this. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know that you're probably really busy.
Oh, that's nice that you think that.
Okay, so the first question that we have is, again, we kind of glanced over this, briefly discuss the leadership position that you have at the moment and any that you're planning on having in the future. So how long have you been the leader of the Simmons Sirens and the president of Simmons Hill? Did I pronounce that correctly?
Hillel.
Hillel, okay.
Yeah. So the Simmons Sirens, I got my first leadership position, I think fall 2019. I became vice president, and I was vice president through last spring and picked up my presidency there in the summer of 2020. And I'm currently president now. And similarly with Hillel, I picked up the presidency spring 2020 and have continued with it through the end of this academic year.
Right, great. And so how did your path as a leader start? Was it at Simmons or was it before, maybe in like high school or any after school activities?
Yeah, that's a really great question. It's really interesting because I never set out to like be a leader. I never had the goal of being president of any club at all. I thought it would be cool when I joined Sirens. I'd be like, oh, like it'd be cool to be vice president. Like I think like that was, if anything, the goal for me. And then, it kind of I saw what a bad leader was. I saw the leader that became a leader for the title. And I think that's really common that people say, oh, I want to be the president. And that's what they want is the title of president. They don't want to do the work around it, or they don't want to work with their constituents, I guess is the right word. And so through seeing what an awful leader we had in the Sirens, I was asked by multiple of our members to run for president, which caused a lot of drama. And it really was the decision like, okay, am I going to do what's easy, which is going along with our crappy president? Or am I going to cause conflict knowing that it's for the greater good and knowing that it's what the members wanted? And so I chose that route and have been president ever since. And similarly with Hillel, again, I never set out to be president of Hillel. I didn't even think I was going to be on the executive board of Hillel until last year when we had an anti-Semitic incident. I turned to Hillel for support, and through that I got more involved. And the way it happened was, two of our members were leaving for grad school. They were graduating. Two of our members were studying abroad in Israel, so they left. And then it was kind of, I was left and then a freshman, and they're like, okay, Leah, you can be the president. And I said, I can be what now? Like, I've been on your board for maybe a month and you want me to be president? Okay. So my path was really interesting because it was never something I wanted. Both of them, were just, I wouldn't say handed to me, but were presented to me because there wasn't really an alternative, or I was the best option, I guess, of two, other options. But that being said, like, I am so blessed. Like, it has been the best part of my Simmons career is being a leader. And I'm so happy that, things really worked out that way.
Mhm. So just jumping off of that real quick, if you didn't have these external factors such as girls in the Simmons Sirens and in Hillel telling you or asking you to be a leader, do you think that you would have ended up being a leader of some sort at Simmons anyways?
I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think so because I think I'm good at it and I enjoy doing it. You can ask Sadie when I leave if I'm a good leader. She'll let you know the honest truth. Thanks, Sadie. But I don't think so. I mean, it really wasn't a goal. I mean, I took a leadership course, which is what I'm sure you all are in now. I read the books on leadership and I said, okay, if this happens, it happens. But it was never a goal. So I'd like to say yes, but I think the honest answer is no. But it was really through seeing crappy leadership that I was like, oh, I need to do this, like, for not to say it's like for the better good, but like it really was. So I don't even know if that's answering your question. The answer is probably no, but I would like to say yes.
No, that answers my question very well. Okay, and so we're jumping to the next two questions.
Hi, okay, I'm Nejwa. So my questions for you is like, who were your mentors and sponsors when it came to becoming a leader?
Awesome question. I had none. So for the Sirens, it was dramatic, as I had said, but the previous president went MIA for the entire summer and I had to learn completely on my own. We were also in the midst of releasing an album, which is now out, Brookline Ave, if you want to check it out. But we were in the midst of releasing that, in which I had no experience. And so I really figured out on my own. And I wish I could say I had a mentor because it would have made things so much easier. But there were many tears, many mistakes, many things that went wrong just because I didn't have a mentor. When it comes to Hillel, I didn't have a student mentor. Again, she was graduating and really went MIA the last month of school, especially because we had just transitioned to an online format. We went online last March, but around April, she really just went missing. But we're very fortunate enough to have an incredible advisor at Hillel, Miriam Blue, who has worked with us for 9 years. And she really is such a force and an incredible mentor that I wish everyone had the opportunity to be able to work with her. She gives so much passion to what she does. And we're very similar kind of in our leadership styles are very similar. And she has been an amazing resource to me and a friend really too, as corny as it sounds.
Thank you for sharing that. So since you had no leadership experience, how did you first approach leadership and how has that changed?
It's a good question. I think I first approached leadership as doing what I needed to get done. Like it was we were kind of in crisis mode and it really was like the bare minimum. And then it got to the point where I was like, well, I'm, being a leader, being a president, it's not about you, and people, like I said before, people seem to think that, and it's really not. It's about, I feel like a good president is in the background, kind of like, yes, they represent the organization, but they're doing what they can for the membership. And so being a good leader to me and the route I wanted to take was, how can I make my members look best? How can I make them the happiest? What can I do to make sure that they're satisfied in whichever club? And so that really was I started doing, with the current vice president of Sirens, Kayla, we started doing bi-weekly check-ins with members. Just how are they doing? We were in a toxic, space before. Is there anything going on that you don't feel comfortable bringing to the group, but you think needs to be brought to the group, And so I really wanted to make sure that everyone was happy. And yes, we're there to sing, but we're still humans. We want our members to be happy or we should want our members to be happy and healthy and stable. And that's really, I think, where I started. And then everything else, I think, kind of followed suit, making sure, starting giving tasks to people, seeing where their interests lie, making sure that, especially with Hillel, our e-board members, what their interests are and what can they bring to Hillel. Sadie is into yoga, mindfulness. I'm not going to lead an event on that. That's not my thing. But if that's Sadie's thing that she can bring to Hillel, that's awesome. Let's have her shine in that and teach us that. Last night we had an event on Jewish comedians. I couldn't go. I don't know about Jewish comedians, but Sarah does. Have Sarah run it. Like I think a lot of presidents, it's the me show, but I don't, that's not good. Have your, you have such talent on your e-board or, that's part of your group, let them do the work too. And I think that's really, to answer your question, I guess I guess the next step was like reaching out to other e-board members to see what they can contribute.
All right, thank you so much, Nejwa. Now we're going to be moving on to the next two questions.
So I have the next two questions. I'm Shannon. Nice to meet you. So our next question is, what were some challenges you faced when becoming a leader, and how did you overcome those challenges, like strategies you used, tactics that you used?
I wish I knew. Challenges. I think, a challenge is just making sure that everyone is on their game, and it's so easy for things to slip through the cracks. First and foremost, we're all students. A lot of our students, I'm a senior. I'm working like a pretty decent internship that takes up a lot of time, and I know our students are doing the same. And so it's easy for things to fall through the cracks, and yet we can't let them, and I've said from the beginning, all right, we're getting 75% done. Is it possible to do 100? Probably not, but can we get to at least that 90? And so I think a really big challenge is just making sure that everyone is doing what they're supposed to do, and also working, with the different styles. So for Hillel, we have 7 e-board. I'm one of 7 e-board members. I can give one of our e-board members, I give her a task, she gets it done within the night. Another e-board member, she'll give it to me the hour before I say it's due. So it's keeping track of everyone's different styles and making sure that they're actually doing the work they're supposed to do by the time I give them to do it. And that's really, it's setting reminders. It's not being afraid to tell someone what they're doing. You can't be afraid of saying, hey, this is due XYZ at XYZ time. Do you have that for me? Like you are a leader, you're their friend. I'm friends with my members, but it's also about getting the work done. And if that means I'm texting Chelsea 3 times to post something, like that's not my problem. She needs to post it, and so it was really getting over the fact that like, this is uncomfortable and that's okay. That's what you signed up for. And also giving some faith to your members that like, or to your e-board members that like, yeah, they're messing up and they know that, and therefore will not be mad at you because you're reminding them, like that's your job. And so I guess that was a big challenge that I'm still working through. I'm still writing notes, texting people, every day, hey, did you do XYZ? And it is what it is.
That's really important. I know that, because I definitely think that a lot of people would be scared to speak up and be like, you need to get this done. So It's awesome that you do that.
People are so afraid of conflict, and I'm just not. I mean, conflict can bring about such incredible change. It has to be respectful conflict, or maybe not conflict, confrontation. People are afraid of confrontation and conflict, but things can come out of it. Everyone goes in so scared, and I'm just not like that. I think you just have to come from a respectful place.
Mm-hmm. So our next question is about conflict. So when there is conflict among your group, how do you choose to solve that? And you kind of answered it with trying to be respectful while you do it, but if you'd like to elaborate.
Yeah, that's a good question that, again, I'm still trying to figure out. And it's also interesting because my entire presidency has been online, so I feel like conflict really thrives. It thrives in person when you're seeing them as much, but it also can thrive over text. Like, I don't know about you, but texts can get misinterpreted all the time and lead to passive aggressiveness and this and that. I've been pretty fortunate that, the way, at least in Sirens, that we handle conflict is through mediation. It has been. It doesn't always work. I think it comes down to explaining what's going on, working on, your interpersonal skills, which everyone can do better with. I'm a social work major. I like talking with people about their problems. It's what I'm going to be paid to do eventually. But I think, yeah, coming from it from a respectful angle, like, you're not, this is what we've expected of you and that's not being met. And I also think, each club has a constitution, and that is really helpful in solving conflict, because if we're coming to someone saying, look, like, you haven't been to 3 rehearsals, it says in our constitution, if you miss 3 rehearsals, XYZ happens. And therefore, this is your punishment. We're taking away your solo. And I'm really sorry about that. Let's see what we can do to like make sure that it doesn't happen again. And I think luckily in Hillel, there hasn't been a lot of conflict. I think right now we have disagreements. Right now we're choosing a gift for our advisor, Miriam, who's leaving, and there are different opinions, but at the end of the day, like, I respect that someone doesn't like my idea, but it really is, the most people that vote for one idea is the one we're going to go with. And I think our members know that, which is interesting because we have a lot of young members and they're very mature, which I appreciate.
All right, thank you so much. So the next 2 questions.
Hi, I'm Clara.
Clara.
I just wanted to ask, how would you describe yourself as a leader?
How would I describe myself as a leader? I would say I'm collaborative. I hope that's the case. I hope, my members think that I want to work with them and I want to do what's best for the group. Like I said before, like I like handing off duties to other people. I like giving them the chance to shine too. And I hope they appreciate that, because I know a lot of presidents are not like that. I think I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know. I think I'm relatively understanding. I know that, being part of an e-board, it isn't a given, it's a privilege. I don't think everyone realizes that, not just being president, but just being part of any e-board, you have to give time and energy to it, and it should be deserved. And I think I hold our e-board members to a standard, but I think I know it's a standard that they can meet. If one of our members, had to go get her COVID vaccine, and that's an absolutely great reason not to come to e-board, and that's absolutely excused. But next Monday is our last e-board meeting. It's my last meeting as president. It's our advisor's last meeting as our advisor after 9 years. And one of our members said she's having a really hard time finding, a time to have an interview for a job. And I said, I'm really sorry to hear that. This is an important meeting to come to. I understand you're having a job interview and that's important. And this is also important. So I hold them to a standard, but I'm also understanding that things come up, things absolutely come up. I grew up with a chronic illness that can flare up at random times. I understand there are times you can't make it. With Hillel, we have a ton of events. It's amazing. I understand you're not going to be able to make it to everyone, but if you're not there for 4 in a row, I'll say, hey, what's up? What's going on? Is there something I can help you with? Are you not feeling it anymore? What can I do? So I would say I'm pretty understanding as well. At least I like to think so.
I bet you are.
Thank you.
For the next question, do you think Simmons has helped you becoming a leader?
No.
In becoming? No?
No, absolutely not. Great question. No. I think that's not true. That's not true. I'm thinking Simmons administration rather than like Simmons coursework. I'd say, being at a woman-centered school, it is really interesting and not something I thought about when, I joined Simmons. One of the cons for me was that it was a woman-centered school. I wanted a co-ed school. I came here because they had social work as a bachelor's. They had music, it was in Fenway. I didn't want a women-centered school. That being said, it actually wasn't until I became president of Simmons Hillel. Yeah, same with Abbey. Yeah. It wasn't until I became president of Simmons Hillel. We work in a consortium of other Hillels at Boston College, Emerson, and Clark, and a couple other smaller schools. And it wasn't until I started talking with, the loud, annoying, chill, president from Boston College that I was like, oh my God, I am so lucky that I'm at a women's school with women that are on their shit, that just know, and that's what the student body is. And so I think in that way, Simmons really was good for me, because I don't know if I would be a leader at another school. I don't know if the men would give me the opportunity to be a leader at another school. And I'm a big voice. I'm not one that sits back and lets people walk all over me, but college guys suck. Like, it's a thing. Sorry. And that's not all of them. I'm well aware of that. I'm saying broadly. I know I'm being recorded, so sorry, anyone else who's watching.
Okay, no. It's just us watching this. You're
okay, perfect. For all I know, you're playing it for your class. But in that way, I think Simmons really was good for me for leadership. I think the leadership course is great. Take it with a grain of salt. It's a course. You're really gonna, same with, I don't know what fields you're all in, but you're gonna do most of your learning in the field. The course is where you learn the theories and the definitions. You're not really gonna learn what it's like until you're in the field. And I think that's similar with leadership, that, until your member texts you at 11:45 at night wanting to talk about the event in 2 days, and you're saying, okay, do I text her? But it's past my bedtime. Where's that boundary? Like and even things like this, when Sadie came to me asking if I wanted to be interviewed, like things like that's really where you learn to be a leader. And I think Simmons did a good job with that. Where I say they could do some work is on their policies. At Simmons, you're only allowed to be president of one organization at a time. And I understand that. The reason behind it is because they want to give people a chance to be a leader. And I think that's wonderful. And yet that doesn't work for every club. At Hillel, there was no election. I was told, Leah, you're president. If I wasn't president, no one would be president, or someone would be president who was the freshman at the time, who didn't know how to be a president. She would learn, but for the benefit of the group was not the right choice at that time. With Sirens, if I was not president, the person who would be president was a first semester Siren, which it says in our constitution, a first semester Siren cannot be president. And she wasn't ever on the e-board. So, both options aren't great. The best option was for me to be president of both organizations. Now, if there was someone who was qualified and could do a great job, not even qualified, forget it, but had even a shot at like being able to keep up an organization, I would happily step back. But that policy made it so that like I literally had to be president of Sirens, like under the table. And now I'm technically, on paper, I'm a co-president, but by practice, I'm really the president. She's more like my vice president, but because I couldn't be, and even that, OSLA was making an exception to even let me be a co-president. So for that reason, I would say, Simmons hasn't been great because they don't love to give leeway. They don't see that, this major policy might be great for 90% of the organizations, but for the other 10% might not have the best interest of their club at heart, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's a really interesting perspective, especially since we really haven't gotten any firsthand experience with presidency at Simmons, just because we've been online for, I don't know if anybody, I'm assuming that we're all freshmen here, except for you, Leah. But we really haven't been on Simmons grounds and really gotten firsthand experience with leadership. But also, so basically Simmons has helped in a sense where this is your first intro to being a leader, correct?
Mine?
Yes.
Like the presidencies?
yes, being like, and yes, being presidents of these groups, this is your first time being a president in your life, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. That was very, I really wasn't expecting that kind of answer, but that's very
Oh,
interesting.
yeah. I got all the knowledge.
All right. So now we're going to be moving on to our next two questions. I'm sorry, I had this lighting is hurting my eyes. Next two
I
questions.
totally get it. Hi,
Hi.
Sadie.
Hi. So my first question is, what advice would you give to others hoping to become leaders?
Great question. I'd say first and foremost, I mean, I've said it before, it's not about you. It's really not. There are some perks to it. It's great to say you're president, get a little pin that says president. Okay. You know, you might get to go to some fancy events or whatever. That's fun, but it's not about you. It's not. And own that and accept that. And if you're going to become a leader, understand that that's what you're signing up for. I'd also say, like I said, be understanding. People's lives can't revolve around a club. They can't. They can try. Mine certainly does, but not everyone else's does. I think it's funny. I was on vacation. I just came back Tuesday and I said to our members, I said, look, I'm going on vacation. If you need me, I'm here. But if you don't need me, I'm not here, you know? And, you know, we almost had to extend the trip a day. And I said, I can't extend the trip a day. I have people that need me. Like I have shit that's going on with my clubs. And it's funny because you think, oh, a college club, but it's really a lot of work. And so know that what you're signing up for, and know that you have the time to do it and to do it well, because there's nothing worse than a president who signs up to be the president, but doesn't have the time or energy to give it to the role. Because that's not fair. That's not fair to your members. I'd also say learn when to ask for help. I think it's hard because you're at the top of the organization. You're supposed to be the one that knows everything. And that could be sometimes, but there's also times where you're going to want to run things by people and say, am I making the right choice? You know, tell me if I'm not. So find that person or people. Because you're one person, that's one opinion. You know, you were elected to that opinion, you know, to have that opinion, but you know, other people's opinions are important too. So make sure you listen to those as well. And I'd also say, like, it's a lot of work, but enjoy it. You know, like nothing, I get really emotional because I'm graduating, so bear with me, but like enjoy it. If leadership is what you like, and like let it be, enjoy it. Enjoy bossing people around. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. You know, it can be stressful, but lean into it. You know, that's what you signed up for. And that's why not everyone's made to be a president. That's not why everyone's made to be a leader, is because some people can't handle that pressure. And that's okay. They're good at other things. You know, but if this is what you signed up for and this is what you like to do, lean into it and enjoy it. And get to know your members, because they're important. Your club is nothing. Your presidency is nothing without them. The end.
So my second question is just, what leadership skills do you consider the most important?
I think honesty and like is so important. You need to be honest with your members, and they really need to be honest with you. And that is so much easier said than done, because like I said, people don't like conflict and confrontation. It is so hard. Communication, I mean, these are all kind of basic, but they're basic skills, and you'd think that people can do them, but that's really not the case when it's put into practice. But like I said, communication, you have to talk to your members if you want anything to get done, because even if you like to do everything yourself, it's not going to work out that way. It's not. And you also want your members to have a role too. So you shouldn't, you know, want it to be that way. So communication, you have to talk to them, but you also have to put boundaries in place too. That's super important. Like I said, you know, I was on vacation. If someone needed something, I was there. But if it could wait, it waits. And that's hard to say. You know, I'm always in communication with my members. Sadie knows that, to a fault, maybe, you know, putting that boundary in place, saying, Sarah, I'm sorry. It's past 11 o'clock. I can't get on my computer and do this right now. I can't do it. I'm watching TV with my mom. If I wanted to pause the show, I could. And I did for a little while, but then it got to be November and I was like, this isn't working for me. If you want to text me between the hours of like 10 and 10, let's do it. You know, but just because you do your work best at night doesn't mean I do my work best at night. And so I'm putting that boundary in place, and that's hard to do as a people pleaser, as someone who wants to be helpful. But I'm not going to be helpful because then I'm going to be passive aggressive that, oh, Sarah, why'd you keep me up? XYZ, I missed my show, blah, blah, blah. And that's, who's that good for, you know? So honesty, communication, and boundaries, huge.
All right.
I can't believe I remembered all of those.
All right. So before we get on to our last question, I'm sorry, I need to just go back real quick. I kind of said yes at first if that explanation was sufficient. I was a bit nervous. I skipped over a couple things.
Oh, no problem.
So
That's totally understandable. I totally got it.
So if you just want to give you said that you are a senior, correct?
Yep. Yeah. So I'm a senior social work major in the Bachelor's of Social Work department. Do you want to know how old I am? What do you want?
Yeah. Okay. So if you just want to give us your age, maybe any other clubs that you're in, if you have any internships coming up or any jobs that you're ready for, if you what's your plan after school?
Sure.
On top of maybe a brief description of Hillel. I know that Simmons Sirens is an a cappella group, but I'm not really sure what Hillel is.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So Simmons Hillel is the Jewish organization on campus. We put on events around different holidays. We do some religious events, things like that. We work with, it's actually an international organization, and there are chapters at most schools. Ours is very small because we're, Simmons is small, but we work with other different chapters at BU, Northeastern, but it's really just to build a Jewish community on campus. Okay. So I'm Leah Goldenberg. Hi, everybody. I'm 23, very old. Like I said, I'm a Bachelor's of Social Work student. Right now, I actually just had my last day. It's very sad. I told you, emotional senior is hard. Being senior is hard. I work at an agency called Healing Abuse Working for Change out of Salem, Massachusetts. And they are a domestic violence agency. So I work, I do crisis intervention with survivors of domestic violence. I give them resources within the community to help them find housing, to help them find childcare, food, things like that. So I provide a lot of resources, things like, and emotional support. I am starting with my master's degree in social work at Boston College. I start May 27th, which is the day before my Simmons graduation. So right into it. My specialty, you have to choose a track. Mine is healthcare. So I want to be a health social worker, a medical social worker. And it's looking like my internship there will be at Care Dimensions, which is a hospice house and bereavement group here on the North Shore. It's in Danvers, Massachusetts. So I'll be doing bereavement work, individual counseling, end of life counseling, family support, group work in a medical setting.
All right.
That's new, Sadie. I don't think you know that. That came about today. So
that's super interesting.
It's new. Yeah, I'm sure you'll hear all about it.
All right. Thank you. I'm sorry about that. I just
Not a problem.
I just said yeah without thinking. Thank you so much. Okay, and so for our last question about the interview, so it's kind of like a culmination of everything that we've talked about, but what are the most important lessons that you have to offer for potential future women leaders?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think they should know that trial and error is part of it. No one goes into being a leader knowing what they're doing. They can know what they don't want to do. They can, like I did, I saw a leader and I was like, no, girl, bye, but no one knows exactly what they're doing. And so lean into that uncertainty and messiness and make the mistake and move on. I think, like I said, you're not there for yourself. I've said it multiple times, I know, but it is really important. And I don't think enough people realize that, you know, you're president for your people. And I think politicians don't know that either, but that's another story. Use your members, get to know your members. You know, if you are representing them, you want to know them. You want to know what they want, and you want to cater your programming around that. And I think know when to ask for help. No one's perfect. There's a reason that the president of the United States has a cabinet, because he's not going to understand how to be the secretary of agriculture, because you're the president, you have other shit going on. You know, that's why you have an e-board, is because they know what to do, or they know better than you do. You know, that's their job. So lean into them. And also know that just because you're the president, like, that doesn't mean your voice is bigger. Your members and your e-board should have an equal weight in voice. Yes, at the end of the day, you make it the decision, and that's hard, but their voice needs to be just as loud as yours. And you might have to dig at them a little bit too to get to that voice, because a lot of people are introverts and a lot of people just go with the flow. And as a leader, as a president, it's your job to, you know, dig a little, say, hey, so-and-so, what are you thinking? And then they'll say it, you know, but people have different styles of getting information across. And some are like me and just say it. And others, you might have to tap into it a little more. And so understand that just because you have one style of leadership or of doing things doesn't mean everyone is going to as well. And you have to work with them, and they'll work with you. My e-board knows our meetings, they start at 2. If you're late, I'm starting without you, you know, and, our member, my e-board is there, you know, and they'll text me if they're going to be late. You know, that's something I hold. But then, you know, in return, you know, I have to give a little to them. If they want to hand in their assignment, you know, 10 minutes before it's due, I have to be okay with that, because it's technically before it's due. So working with them, you know, uphold the things you want to uphold, but also understand that they're going to have their own styles of doing things as well. And yeah, have fun, enjoy it. It's hard, but if you sign up for it and you enjoy it and you like it like I do, then lean into it, because you're not going to be in the position forever. And that's something I'm learning to sit with, that, you know, I've been a president of 2 groups that I really care about, and I'm leaving. You know, I'm sure I like being a leader, and will have a leadership position eventually, you know, in a career. But enjoy the time. Oh, I'm tearing up. Enjoy the time you have in the group, because, you know, it's not forever. And something we talk about is leaving a legacy. And so, you know, you want to leave a group that, you know, you're proud of, and that you're not afraid to like leave, because you know your members have looked up to you and have seen you as a leader and want to replicate that. That's the biggest honor, is leaving a legacy of replication. And also I had a member say to me, like, it was my birthday, and she said, "Happy birthday, Leah. Thank you for making Hillel a home." And that's the goal. That's it. You know, that's what you want to leave. Oh, this is good for me too. Sadie knows I'm all for reflection. I make them answer reflection questions. So I'm here for it, for sure.
All right, so that ending is very powerful. So thank you so much for your time. I know it's a bit later than in the evening than what we were kind of hoping for, but thank you. I know it was a bit short notice. Thank you so much. Your insight was very, very, I can tell that you're a very passionate leader, even if like at first you weren't exactly, you know, you didn't shoot your shot. You didn't immediately like say, I want to be the president. I want to, you know, be the one in power.
Yeah.
I know that me and Nejwa, we're also social work majors, or at least
great.
We're planning on it. Oh, Sadie,
Yeah, Sadie is too.
Okay. Yep. So
I know. I think I saw a smile from someone when I said I was a social work major. I think it was Nejwa. So yeah, I'm happy to, you know, I'm happy to answer any questions. I know when I was a younger social work major, all I wanted was a mentor to like, not even a mentor, but just someone to answer my questions. So, and I didn't get that until I was later. So I mean, I can put my email down if you have any questions. Seriously, like you can ask Sadie. And as you probably can tell, I love to talk. So I would be happy to, give you any insight on the program, or any of you really. I mean, it's so hard. I can't imagine starting Simmons online. I know that's what no one wanted. And I'm so excited for you all to be on campus and to see what Simmons is actually like, and, get out of that childhood bedroom if that's what you're choosing to do, and get to campus. It's really wonderful. And I'm so excited for you all to get to experience, what I was able to experience for almost 3 years.
So I'm going to stop the recording now.